Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So, one world or none, as mentioned by Dr. Bandy Lee from the World Mental Health Coalition. What does that mean and why is she saying that? So, from my perspective, being born 94, we have to weaponize, not weaponize, but we have to be a force for good. Okay? So, we have to be a force for good, and we cannot be a force for good without one world. So, North Korea and South Korea is divided as an example. That is a metaphor, or it's a it's an analogy for why evil is existing today. Now, the media, the police, teachers, and when people are not when stupid people are not kept in check, things people misuse people misuse things and people, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so a force for good is all of us. No matter how good or bad you are, you have the choice every single day to either be spiraling up or spiraling down or staying the same. And what does that mean? People put values on me, as in how much I drink or smoke marijuana, or how much I go outside or don't go outside, or how productive I am in my inglorious property. Those are the measures that other people put on me. The measures that I put on myself is how much I can figure out to explain what is going on accurately, so that way I can protect my parents from death and dismemberment. More so they can remember who they remember at the point of death, that I love them and who we are as a family. Because there are many profit motives to keep us separated. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if people today, especially females or guys, that feel that you're romantically in a decline, or you are frustrated by your decisions or your actions or whatever, you have to know why you exist, you see. And what part of that reason is this incorporated city of Elk Grove. And if we don't figure out what why this city was incorporated, then you're not going to figure out why you exist. And you're going to come blaming, knocking on my door, saying that I have something to do with it because I'm drinking. And then other kids are going to start drinking as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a very short-minded logic of my father. My father and I do not get along for those reasons. Um, but then again, you have to think about the age difference and the amount of just factors of the field of the environment that he was growing up in and he lived and went through. So, considering everything, this incorporated city exists for a reason, and that reason is more than just, you know, partying at night and kissing girls. Although that is a temporary, meanwhile we figure out what's going on, they just live, right? But what happens? You got STDs, you got all these types of things that can pop up that they have to monitor, okay? If they can keep that clean and without a mess, then we can move on to the next stage of civilization. But if while I'm trying to figure things out and people are out there partying, and the people partying end up developing a prion disease or developing some type of, that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's a countless possibilities of what could go wrong. So the thing is that when they come back to me and say, oh, okay, what do you have? what do you have to bring to the table? And then I tell them what's going on. They're not going to want to, they're not going to remember the original mission to do good or to be a force for good. Because people try to make people into forces, but it's up to us to decide that we're going to be a force for good and how we do that. So when I talk about being disenfranchised, ladies and gentlemen, and being a force for good is this. Karim Corrales has a name, and he's from Mexico, a place that we need diplomacy. This YouTube platform, he needs this YouTube platform, and everybody in Mexico needs this type of communication. We need to be free to be able to speak. Speak accurately, not just take our words and use our mouth to get what we want, you see? So, ladies and gentlemen, September 11, 2001, that was something that you are who you are, and that's it. It's almost like everybody at that day had a snapshot of who we are. And from there, ladies and gentlemen, we should have no fear, you see? We should be grateful to be able to speak to each other, how we're speaking to each other right now. This is what increases the value of those that have integrity and that have honor and uphold those standards. And why am I saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best that I can do? Is because it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is how I avoid extreme evil. Because they want me to go out there dangling my female human childbearing counterpart out here in the nightlife. And they want me to go out there and follow along just like every other guy probably did. How they lured boys and girls out into the street like that. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what they're probably trying to blame Karim Corrales. They're trying to blame him for that parasitical program. Why? So that way, well, they probably didn't know what to say, you know, because there are a lot of people that devote their life to justice that we probably don't get along with, you know, like different football teams, etc., things like that. But at the end of the day, this is more important than that. This is more important than our differences. And if we lose sight on that, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably for a very specific audience, a very specific target audience, but which is probably only myself and those that still those that are still alive, basically, ladies and gentlemen.